Okay, my name is Rob Ellis, and today is our May update on our spring um update on our so we on our Springfield deal, which is 27 acres. So what we're doing is uh let's see here. There's legal Zoom. We like to use, I think, Ohio LLC low cost setup. And these companies that, let's say Zen Business, I want to start it. So what we're doing is we need to create an SPV, which will be the feeder streets. This is how we're structuring our deal and how we're going into it. So if we go to Google Earth here, we are starting to talk to, we're already absorbing the cost, a lot of these. But if we go to 590 East 3rd, Springfield, this is the end of this street. So we have 3rd and Warren. So if we type in 3rd and Warren Land Development SPV, that's what we're going to call this, right? Land Development joint venture. But we call it like SPV. So I was going to say, if I go here and I say, for our land holding company, for the SPV, can we do it in? That's the feeder streets that come in. Or what else should I call it? Springfield, but I wanted something more specific. As it's a clear locational reference that can tie it. If 3rd and Warren, so 3rd and Warren Infrastructure Development SPV LLC. Now, I like this. 3rd and Warren Development and the joint venture aspects. But if it's not JV and if a builder buys it, it's tough. It could also be a land holding co. 3rd and Warren Land Development, then 3rd and Warren Development Holdings SPV. I think holdings or land holdings is good too. The whole point is to come in and 3rd and Warren Land Holdings SPV rate each one. 3rd and Warren Land Holdings SPV LLC. Right? And that's the feeder that's coming into it. So as we put 3rd and Warren Land Holdings SPV LLC, And as we put this in, how much experience do you have? Lots. Commercial real estate. Okay. Process in 1 day, process in 7 to 10 days, continuous starter, 1 free year of compliance. We prepare your filing and submit it. It's available, is available, boom. Okay, so we're gonna look at this, 1 year free. No, I'll figure it out myself. No, I'll figure it out myself. No, thanks. No, thanks. And we can add a rush on it, no problem. Okay, so this is our company, Third and Warren Land Holdings SPV LLC. Save and continue. So this is how we do it. And this is where our subdivision and what we will put on the plat and also all official solicitations. It shows our intent and our firm commitment that we now, based on today, we are confident that we can, this is where bills go to. And let's see here, 4867960078002283. And oh wow, I just read my credit card number online. Thank God that I didn't put the I can stop my share here. Thank God. We can that's crazy. So what we can do then is basically distribute this across the in a new May update, right? So what we say now is congratulations, let's keep it going. I'll do this on my own. No thanks. No thanks. No thanks. Next. A few questions to finish up. So, finish formation. LLC. No thanks. It's a product, probably land. No. No. Greater than 100,000. No. No employees. Real estate. Activities related to real estate. Other activities. Next. What is your company's purpose? There you go. A land holdings entity. We're gonna say solo for now. We have a statutory agent. Okay. We're gonna put in a personal. Okay. And then we also have our statutory agent will be ourselves. We already have a mailing address in Ohio. So what we're doing here is creating the SPV that the subdivision will Stark County. We're creating the subdivision entity that we will put it under and the ownership entity of this. This is like basically where we start doing business. Can't be a PO box. It's not a PO box. Okay. Thanks. No, thanks. 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 Okay. So now it'll probably go to my dashboard. This is our entity, which is probably like an order. And let's see if we have it. Sometimes they don't have a I don't know if I can is working to validate it. Okay. So what we do now is we say that Third and Warren Land Holdings SPV LLC. This is the name of the applicant. Now, what we do is we create the write-up. So at this point, we do a write-up on this, and I say, I just created an SPV to which we are going to assign the engineering services put the preliminary subdivision plat and also title at closing. We are starting, this will also be the entity that we either have a JV in or that we sell to an infrastructure developer. We are giving our May 5th update, which includes the preliminary plat submission at the city of Springfield mid-month, and we hope to have feedback. We had preliminary meeting with the city. We are working on, we have engaged an engineer. As an engineering firm, which we are transferring the scope of services into the SPV name. And what we are doing is soliciting for either JV/SPV for non-recourse land development for what we call, it's right, let me see if I can find it. It's for acquisition and development credit facility, and that's non-recourse, 80 to 85%. We're gonna count on 80 to 85% LTC. So we are currently looking to finalize an LPA for the sponsoring in the name of the sponsoring entity at final yield cost at final year, which is expected 135 lots plus or minus at 60K base plus a 5% land lift per year and a max 3-year takedown. We've platted for 42-foot wide lots and 52-foot wide lots so builders can enter. Once we have the the preliminary submission, we can distribute it. But we have the write-up from before with the conceptual plat that was reviewed by the city, which is just going through a few retweaks. Can you help me draft this document? We are still in our solicitation 90-day window, which will end around June 30th, 2025. That means infrastructure, developers, builders, build to rent, etc. can still modify the plat, request questions, etc. We plan on an exit. Let's see if we do this right. 135 times 85. 135 times, I mean 63,000 is 8.5 million. Okay. Over 8 million. And we have the infrastructure development budget, which will be finalized, a conceptual of it, or a much stronger one in June. but we have approximate layouts that are getting pretty final. We have 2 access points. We made the SPV. And what we are looking for from an infrastructure developer is an equal share of the engineering, which is 98,000, each capitalizing the SPV or an equivalent of 50,000 commitment to share costs to get to final plat per Woolpert's engagement letter, which is being transitioned. All terms are negotiable, and we will sell the site at 1.3 million from our entitlement entity. That means builders could also sit on this and land bank it, or an infrastructure developer could. This is by right design. It's just platting and engineering. We expect to get to final plat in 4 to 5 months. On the other side, we have the purchase through a non-shared agreement or non-infrastructure or non-JV at a suggested 1.6 million with the same 50K tie-up provision for a builder or an infrastructure developer. That is pathway 1, which is to exit this into an SPV that they control 100% of, or any portion. We have our land, we have our general contracting and development firm, Pink Development and Construction, that can perform part, all, or none of the services. There is no requirement. And the other exit at 1.6 million is a clean sale. And those would be at final plat and bond at final plat and parcel, and we would double close it. We close it through horizontal land partners at our basis, and they transact the site at a higher number. They make 3 million plus profit on infrastructure or in equity upside from our exit. The other alternative, this cleanly separates infrastructure risk and entitlement risk, which is our firm's design. The other side of this update is for the LPA agreement. We are seeking 9 to 10% and would like to secure LPA drafts by June 30th. And this can also include the small drawdown post preliminary plat feedback to cover engineering, but not required. It helps us to recapitalize. The builders we are reaching out to are typically in this market. Ryan Homes, Arbor Homes, Fisher Homes, Pulte, Centex. We have Rockford. We have Clayton Property Group. This is 9 stick built. Arbor Homes, Brone, Shaman, but there's corporate, right? Highland, Summit, these are some of them. And it shows their regional presence. But they also have a corporate arm as well. Any of those groups could land bank this site. Infrastructure developers that we can think of are groups like Tamarack, Land, I attached our platting direction. Um, I think we will be in good shape. The sub, I have the LPA original as well as the write-up that you can use as reference. The point of this is to get firm commitments and provide an update on the site that from both an LPA and infrastructure. We, after our conceptual review with city staff, believe we are at the point where there's very little risk. So we'd like to finalize everything. Our incorporation of an SPV as both a land holding company, LPA interest, as well as engineering billing entity shows our commitment to structure. No operating agreement or EIN has been set up. This was incorporated in Ohio and will be the entity that takes title. Our goal is to exit by platting or before. The project can be purchased at any time, and we will continue to work on it to facilitate workflow until the deal is final. We've engaged electrical and gas already as early utility providers. Will be Ohio Edison and NiSource is the gas arm that sets up new gas lines. If there are infrastructure developers they want to share this with, they can. Can you help me write this up at an institutional level? The final LPA is driven by lot yield. All lots meet the development standards of RM 12. This is a non-HOA public streets with reserves for stormwater and utility easements. We plan to provide another update at when we get preliminary subdivision feedback from all city departments more formally, but we've had 2 to 3 meetings. We also are engaging the boring contractor, and if they'd like that or the soils report, to please request. This has a walking trail behind it that circulates and could be a nice feature to the neighborhood, but coordination is not through the city. There are existing lines that are circulation lines that cannot be buried, but we platted them into the right of way for minimal. All these come as an extension from East Third and are already on the back side of other subdivisions. The docs you can read and incorporate are here. I need a lift on the LPA, probably 60K for the 42-foot lots and 52 feet for the 52 feet and 64K for the 52-foot lots with which are market driven by the most recent phase 4 Bridgewater development that's sold out in 2023 to 2024. There will be a 5% rider on the LPA for inflation and upside. Okay, so that is our overview. And we basically write this up. I need to copy it there. What we're gonna bring in is services agreement. We will attach the signed services agreement, which we are moving into the SPV name, as well as the preliminary application will be there. We have no name for the streets or subdivision, which is why we want to select an SPV sponsor and LPA sponsor. To come to an agreement. All right, let's see what else we got. We had the infrastructure term sheets and the LPA term sheets. We had the concept. This is the deal write-up. And this is our most recent update. I have to add a little bit more about that. We're already looking at the package and basically the down payments for an infrastructure developer, which would be 80% LTC, which is around less than $1 million. Let's see here. Springfield. I attached our write-up of this, but now we've cleared the majority of any kind of risk. And after the preliminary subdivision submission, all project files will be turned over to the engineering firm that has been engaged. All right, let's see what it comes up with. Please provide the latest update on the Springfield residential development currently in the final 90-day conceptual planning and builder infrastructure developer solicitation window. Controls a 27.4 site. The parcel is positioned for a phased lot delivery and developer participation. We are currently in the conceptual phase. We're finalizing. I would change the name of this to preliminary plat, subdivision plat, and out of conceptual. I'd also say we've cleared entitlement risk, title risk, initial soils reports risk, utility risk, access risk, feasibility risk, and now we are to the platting process. So it separates it. When you spend a lot of time, we're now already in the preliminary subdivision plat phase. The process moved beyond the conceptual, and with the key risks cleared, we are focused on progressing through the platting process. Controls it. This parcel is ready for formal plat submission with all major risks mitigating. We're actively soliciting engagement for builders, infrastructure developers, and institutional level partners. We are currently in the preliminary subdivision plat with plat submission scheduled for mid-May. We expect to receive feedback by mid-June with final plat approval targeted for. Final plat will come after that and be driven by engineering. We expect probably 3 to 4 months after the feedback. Okay. Right. So it says within 3 to 4 months, likely October or November. Civil engineering and infrastructure plan will begin immediately post approval, ensuring a streamlined path toward development. Civil engineering will coordinate the entire project post preliminary plat feedback. So engineer of record that is engaged will run the project after June 30th, 2025. And as the SPV is capitalized. Okay. So it says we're moving to the preliminary subdivision plat phase. We expect it in mid-May. The civil engineering firm, which has been engaged, will manage that risk mitigation, utility risk, access, warrant and third, feasibility, platting process. And we've got the entry levels with a 5% rider, the infrastructure, 3 to 4 million. Let's target 3.5 million on preliminary infrastructure. Let's see here. We're pleased to provide an update on the Springfield residential project, now entering the preliminary. We're currently in the preliminary subdivision plat with plat submission scheduled for mid-May. Following this, final plat, the civil engineering firm let's see if they use Woolpert. The civil engineering, which has been engaged, will manage the project from this point forward. They will coordinate post preliminary plat submission feedback. The project will be turned over to them through a capitalized SPV around July 1st, 2025. They are engaged, but we are waiting preliminary feedback. We're waiting on feedback on the preliminary plat submission from all departments. We are handling that process with in-house. We're handling that process in-house. Their scope of work is attached to the update, along with the estimate. We are also beginning to seek the A and D non-recourse structures, which would be expected to be capitalized at 800K to 1 million, depending on the structure that is negotiated. We can be involved in the SPV, or the site can be clean purchased. But I'd talk about the initial terms, non-recourse, and basic low basis of this site. Okay. We're entering that project timeline. The project will transition to Woolpert, who will manage the project post feedback, hold all coordination and final engineering from that point. I was moved to final plat. October or November. This project will be turned over to the capitalized SPV around July 1st. Once the SPV is fully capitalized, making the transition to full development. Woolpert is currently engaged, and their scope of work along with the cost estimate is attached. The Third and Warrens has been formed to manage the engineering services, title acquisition, and platting process of the project. The entity will serve as the land holding company and will take title at closing. The SPV will facilitate either a JV or direct sale transaction to infrastructure developers, builders, or BTR entities. The SPV will be capitalized in the range of 800K to 1 million, depending on the negotiated structure. I wouldn't talk about the capitalization. That makes sense, because the land, depending on the structure, depending on the structure, how and when that is negotiable, but 800K to 800K is the minimum to acquire the site and finish engineering. Any value transacted above that is negotiable, and our fund and represents our fund's hurdle rate. We target 100%, but given the earlier takedowns can get that lower. So what we're saying, okay, here we go. We're currently in doing that mid-June. This SPV, the SPV will be capitalized. Remember to add the sponsor entity. Here is horizontal land partners. And that can be reflected probably at the top. Sponsor entity, project entity, right? Third and Warren Land Holdings SPV. Okay, so this is our preliminary subdivision plat update. It talks about the terms. It talks about that. Utility risk. It talks about the sizes of the lots. It talks about the deliveries. It talks about the land can be purchased, that with a 50K tie-up for this. Infrastructure developers can commit to an equal share of the infrastructure trust. No, the SPV model is an early share of the 98K plus a direct purchase and membership interest or title in the SPV to be negotiated with a minimum purchase price of 1 million. I would say we really want to go 1.2 million. The other structure, that is 50K. And that will go into the SPV for engineering. The direct sale is the same. No involvement from us with non-refundable 50K tie-up. On the exit side, we are looking for LPA commitment. We have early interest, but want to finalize a structured agreement with the land holding company. So basically, the first exit is a land bank by a builder or a JV or direct purchase by an infrastructure developer. And the secondary portion of this is LPA finalization, which is meant for builders. We're getting close. Third and Warren Landholding SPV preliminary subdivision plat. Okay. Woolpert. The project is turned over to it. Will be turned over around July. The third has been formed to, I would also add that it was incorporated in Ohio with nothing but the entity formed, all operating agreements, EIN, JV structures, etc. are all negotiable. It's just a land holding company SPV, which is how our firm exits from entitlement into infrastructure. We are the entitlement de-risking arm. Okay. Here we go. So we send this out. And the LPA is in the amount of 9 to 10% of project finished lot values. So the LPA range, we want to add what that is in dollars as well. And you put the value of that in the LPA and add DR Horton. and Clayton Properties to the builder engagement and Rockford. So the LPAs that we're looking for are from the original LPA. I think you can guide to the percentages as well, or standard, or whatever is standard. We are just proposing a structure that is milestone driven. Do you have that from the original docs you can bring in? That's not what we were looking for. I think this is fine. So let's go through this really quick. Springfield, Ohio, preliminary plat phase, May 2025 update. This is plenty of information. We're pleased to provide an update on the Springfield residential development. Now entering the preliminary subdivision plat. The project has moved beyond conceptual with key risks. It talks about Woolpert. Let's just read it top to bottom. The project has successfully moved beyond the conceptual phase with key risks cleared, and we are focused on progressing through the platting process. Horizontal Land Partners controls 27.4-acre parcel zoned RM12 in Springfield, Ohio. This parcel is now ready for formal plat submission with all major risks mitigated, and we are actively soliciting engagement from builders, soliciting firm engagements from builders, infrastructure developers, and institutional level partners. We are currently in the preliminary subdivision plat phase with plat submission scheduled for mid-May. We expect to receive feedback on all city departments by mid-June. Upon receiving feedback, the project will transition to Woolpert, our civil engineering firm, who will manage the project post-feedback. Now, one of the things that we're going to do is add in we have a different draft of this, which is this is what we want to show. And the whole point is, let me do the minimum here, kind of right there. We kind of want the minimum. So we want to put this as the latest draft. So it shows what we're platting for. And the modifications that we need to make. What we came in was this final one. So we're saying that based on this is the figure. So we want to show the SPV formation. The third and Warren Land Holdings has been incorporated in Ohio. At this stage, the SPV is simply a land holding entity with no operating agreements, EIN, JV structures, or other former agreements in place. All such terms are negotiable, allowing for flexibility in structuring the entity for different potential partners. The SPV model offers a unique early engagement opportunity where developers and builders can acquire an early share of the $98,000 engineering cost and plat control and membership interest in the SPV. Membership, controlling membership interest. This model involves a minimum purchase price of 1.2 with a $50,000 commitment to the SPV for engineering. This structure allows flexibility for builders or developers interested in early participation with the ability to adjust terms for JV or SPV membership or plat design or final plat design, including conversion to BTR at up to a maximum site yield of 324 allowable units. Alternatively, the direct sale model allows for clean, non-participatory acquisition where 50K is required as a tie-up provision for any builder who wishes to engage. This is a non-refundable commitment for direct purchase, post-entitlement, and will be used for engineering. We have successfully cleared several critical risks, ensuring that the project is well positioned for a smooth transition into planning phase. Entitlement risk, the project is zoned RM12 by right, eliminating the need for rezoning. Title risk, title has been secured. Title commitment has been reviewed, I would say. Initial soils reports, that is from the what we call the what is it? Soil. It's right. The NRCS soils report. We are also engaging boring contractors for standard boring scope for soils testing, for soils samples. Utility risk, Ohio Edison, NiSource, water and sewer and all other utilities also confirmed as access. Market viability based on a full sellout of Bridgewater subdivision in 4 phases by NVR/Ryan Homes and by Arbor Homes exits on smaller land tracts and commitment to Melody Park, a master planned community by who is it? Borer. With all these risk clears, we are now moving into the platting, subdivision platting. With all engineering and title services transferred into the SPV name. Lot configuration. The preliminary subdivision is for 134 finished lots for detached SFRs. Segmented as follows: 42 by 135. With 6-foot side yards and a 40-foot product line with 6-foot side yards and a 50-foot product line. The total lot pricing is targeted between 60 and 64,000 with a 5% annual escalator and the flexibility to adjust for market conditions, inflation, and infrastructure developer upside standard in the industry. Infrastructure delivery and developer terms. The infrastructure scope is estimated at 3.5 million, covering streets, curbs, sidewalks, stormwater, sanitary, and water. We're offering 2 primary pathways for involvement. SPV can acquire early share of the $98,000 engineering plus all membership interest in the SPV. All or majority membership interest in the SPV. This requires a minimum purchase price of 1.2 with 50K committed for engineering with 50K non-refundable. Process to Woolpert. Direct sale, a clean purchase with no involvement from horizontal land partners or Pink Development. Requiring a 50K tie-up and a direct sale post entitlement. Allowing our firm to hit our hurdle. Right? So this can be purchased by a land banking play for builders or by infrastructure developers. The project exit value is projected at 8.354 million with gross profit around 3.56. The SPV allows for flexible takedown strategy with builder engagement expected over 18 to 36 months. With builder takedowns expected over 18 to 36 months maximum. We are confident that the project will generate significant upside based on market absorption and the 5% appreciation. Bridgewater is seeing a home value growth of 8 to 11% per year for entry level housing under 325K. We are seeking firm commitments from builders for the lot purchase agreement, and the LPA will reflect 9 to 10% of the project's finished lot values. And that is 0.09 times 8,340,000, $750,600. That's what we're missing. $750,600. to 10% is 834,000. With this structure, the LPA represents a significant opportunity for builders to commit to the project based on the finalized lot yields and pricing structure. Terms of the LPA are to be negotiated between the SPV and the builder. The Springfield submarket has shown high demand, such as NVR, Arbor, Fisher, Clayton, already active in the area, already active or showing interest. Given the low inventory of new homes, right? The first subdivision in 25 plus years was in 2021 by NVR Ryan Homes, and all 200 plus lots were sold out in phases successfully in Springfield. Utility coordination. We have finalized utility coordination with Ohio Edison and NiSource for the delivery with a formal engineering team. Reports the transition immediately upon final plat approval and water and sewer design final. We are working with Woolpert, a leading national engineering and design firm with a strong presence in Ohio. Woolpert has extensive experience in civil engineering, infrastructure design, and development services for residential and commercial projects. They have been engaged to manage the civil engineering aspects of the project, ensuring that all technical and regulatory requirements are met. Woolpert's Ohio offices are well versed in the nation's zoning and the region's zoning, permitting, and engineering. For more information, check their sites out. We are actively seeking feedback from builders and infrastructure developers during this 90-day solicitation window, which will conclude on June 30th. Upon receiving preliminary subdivision feedback, all project files will be turned over to Woolpert for final engineering and civil work. Please reach out directly for any inquiries or requests for additional documentation. Their scope of services for this project is attached, which will be transferred into the new SPVs prior to June 30th, 2025. Okay, there you go. That's a 5-page update. Okay, we're going to take this. We have a picture of the preliminary as a figure. And gosh, this is amazing. And the last thing we need to do is add Woolpert's estimate, which we signed here. We're going to add that document we just downloaded and rename it. Which is, we're going to call it the same thing. These will be archived. And this is, whoops, show archived. Unarchive. We wanted to archive this. And this. So this is what we're looking at. And it shows their scope of work. Super organized. We're going to get rid of these. to docs, and this will go out to the interested parties. Let's see how big it is. Oh, that's great. Under 8 megabytes. So that is our project update for Springfield. And this is why buy right sites are the best. We were designing automated parking structures on 0.1 acres and doing the impossible. Developing a subdivision in a RM12 district is simple. When you can find the right zoning and not rezone, it is a phenomenal site. This is a buy right, unbelievable site that should be scooped up. That's everything, guys. Thanks for watching.